I really like storage, industrial. I have not jumped 100% on board with retail. I will tell you that I paid $0 in federal taxes last year. So now I'm in 3 states, almost about 2,000 units.
Greetings, well builders. Welcome to Get Diversified, your go-to podcast for all things real estate investments.
I'm Jacqueline.
Melvin Landry. We're thrilled to embark on this wealth building journey with you.
Imagine this. What if your investments not only secure your future, but also unlock a life of financial freedom? That's what we're diving into on this show. Apartment buildings, storage facilities, mobile home parks, the whole shebang.
But here's the kicker. It's not just about investing. It's about crafting a legacy, building memories with your loved ones, and seizing every moment. Time is the currency of life. And let's be real, none of us wants to waste.
We've got the insights, experience, and dash of excitement to spice up your investing game. Plus, we'll throw in some real-life stories that'll make you see the potential in every brick and mortar.
Subscribe, buckle up, and get ready to turn your investments into the ticket to financial freedom. Together, we're not just building wealth, we're building the community of savvy investors. Let's get diversified.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Get Diversified. I'm your host today, Jacqueline Landry, and I'm here with a very special guest. Her name is Candace Sarber, and she is the co-author of a book that we are both in that will be launching in March 2024 called Real Women in Real Estate Volume 2. So Candace, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me today. We actually just had a meeting about it.
Yes, fantastic. So let's start off by telling the audience a little bit about who you are. And then we'll take it from there.
Okay. I currently live in Dayton, Ohio, a suburb of Dayton, Ohio. And I came over here, this might age me a little bit, but 1991, 92, went to Cedarville University. It was a college when I was there. I came over here to Cedarville, which is a Christian school, and then have never left the area. I can say that I do not like cold weather, and Ohio is definitely a cold state. So that's where I've been for the last several decades, and was brought up in the countryside of Indiana, out on some farmland. So definitely value hard work, physical work, and that kind of has led through a lot of different areas of my life. So currently, I am, single, just turned 50. I don't know how much we should really reveal on this podcast.
That's awesome.
But anyways, it's my dog and I, and we have a great time together, but always wishing for warmer weather. So that's a little bit about myself. Now, I've been a realtor for 18 years now and have been doing a lot of different real estate areas, which I'm sure that we'll kind of get into a little bit. But got into real estate. I was a human resource manager for 10 years before that, before I jumped into the real estate world. And that's just a few minutes about myself.
Awesome. So you started off in residential real estate. So why did you choose residential?
Yeah. So when I was a human resource manager, I had my maintenance manager who I had hired into the company. He would always stop in my office every few days, tell me about all the wonderful things he was doing in the flipping world. I thought, this is wonderful. I should just, do this because it's just something that piqued my interest, something I've enjoyed because I've done always my own home improvements at my house, my friends' houses, work on my mowers. There's just so many things hands-on. I'm like, I can do this. So I did get a property and started working on that, but shortly after that is when the crash came. Right. And so I realized at that time that I had to go from just renovating and reselling properties, and I needed to, by the time I had sold my first one, I had become a residential realtor. But at that point, shortly after that first sale, a realtor of 30 years, she told me at the closing table, she was like, Candace, she's like, you've got to get out of this. It's the worst I've ever seen. And at that point, she didn't realize what was coming in the future. But I thought, oh, crap, this is only my first or second transaction as a realtor. Yep. So then I had to do a transition between really doing what I got into real estate for, which was renovating, making a fantastic product and reselling it. Then I had to transition to being a residential realtor where I was helping others do the same. And so then that then led to my long journey of a lot of different various out of the box ideas to help sellers be able to sell their house because so many sellers were underwater. It also meant that I ended up cutting a large majority of my commission to get them where they needed to go. And looking back, I probably shouldn't have done that. But, seeing their smiles at the closing table, knowing that they weren't losing as much money, like that just brings me true enjoyment in life, is
Sure.
always seeing the smile and knowing that they'd got there. So I had to do that. And that kind of led me to severe debt. They always have statistics where I think the first year of real estate, I think 80% of realtors will drop out after the first year. And then there's another large statistic after the second year. And I was bound to not be that statistic. But in turn, I went through all my 401k from my previous job, all my savings account, maxed out credit cards, and that's not how I was brought up. So that kind of led me down that road. And then for several more years, I just remember at that moment saying, God, real estate got me into this and I'm trusting you and real estate to get me out. So it was just a lot of faith going down that journey for many, many years.
Wow.
So that's kind of a little bit about my backstory. I'm here today to smile about it because I continue bringing joy to others' lives in what I do, whether that be residential real estate or continuing to help my friends fix up their homes.
Awesome. So first because you kind of dismissed it, you're like, well, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do, is kind of give up my commission for my buyer, my seller, right? So they lose less. So first, let me commemorate that because not all realtors will do that, number one. And number two, that just shows you as a character, the character of yourself as a person, your morals, your ethics and all that stuff. So that is great. So I never want to hear you say that again. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, because we all know that there's things, in our past that we weren't proud of, or decisions that we made weren't the best. But again, that kind of, that makes the person that we are today. So all that kind of plays into our journey. I have a long story about my journey, which you can read in Rewire One, Volume One. Volume 2 is a whole different topic. So let's get into, tell me a little bit more about kind of how you felt as a realtor and, over the past 18 years, number one, and then number two, how you're actually transitioning to maybe something a little different.
Yeah. So what was the question again?
Sure. So how did you feel? How are you feeling as a realtor, and are you morphing into something different than just a residential realtor?
Yeah. So right now, since I've been doing residential real estate for 18 years, I've gone through the whole buying and selling rental properties and all of that. I have a team here that I started last year. And so I have a business partner, and we're developing several different agents. And so the home that I'm in right now was a hoarder's home. And so there was a lot of money that was put into that. And so once again, I went through a lot of my savings to the house, which was kind of unbeknownst to me when I initially bought it. I do things differently in my personal than I ever recommend for my clients. And so I should probably get that on recording as well. I'm much more of a gambler in my personal life than I am professionally. But anyways, so then when I went to school, the thing that really excites me the most when I was even in school is investments. And I just remember going through college, I'm thinking, oh my word, I love this class. I love being able to do that. My grandfather, he was one who in the basement would chart all these different stocks, in his basement, and he would follow them every single day because this was way before the internet days. And so you could see all his charting and what he's done. And he got me into my first mutual fund and, kind of encouraged me to do that. So that was a lot of fun. But I know we don't have all the time in the day to spend on my journey. But what happened is a few years ago, when I purchased this house, I purchased it for cash. And then once I got into all the different items that need to be fixed up, I ended up taking out a mortgage on it just to be able to finish fixing everything up and get some of my money back. But what I did with that mortgage, because a few years ago, the interest rates were a lot different than what they are now, because I took out that mortgage, I was able to put money to additional education classes. And I truly believe that, so many people say the biggest investment is in yourself. And I do think that that's true, but the biggest investment has to be in yourself when you know you're going to implement what you just learned. Because so many of us will just continue to gather information and never do anything. So one of my words this year is implement. And I probably should have had that word the last 10 years. But I do enjoy getting lots and lots of training, and I've spent probably $200,000 in just all the different training platforms. But there gets to be a point in your life that you know that you're not going to be getting any younger. Your retirement is not getting a whole lot bigger. So you need to do something in your own life to make that happen. So what I've been doing is I've been chunking money. And what I mean by that is when I make money as a realtor, I'll start setting aside little bits of money into my savings account. And that's what I mean by chunking. So you could call it, storing up in your savings, setting it aside, whatever you want to do. But in my mind, I have little chunks of money. And when I get certain chunks of money, then I can put that into something. Because they say that you'll never be an investor unless you invest, right?
Yep.
So the whole point is for people listening to this is sitting on the sidelines, you just need to do it. Just do it. Just put some money into an investment so that you can sit back and watch it grow. So that's what I've done over the last few years. So I put money into some Class A properties in Florida. And
are these multifamily or
those
resident?
are multifamily. Yep. Those are limited partner multifamily. So partnerships into those 3 down there. And then what I did was shortly after that, I chunked some more money and then was able to put into a JV deal in a flex industrial storage space in Savannah, Georgia. And so then that was another 40 some units right there that's doing phenomenally well. And then what I did was that was about the time when I mortgaged my house, and not the full amount, but a partial amount. I think I put, 70% mortgage on my house. And here in Dayton, Ohio, is a little bit different than people maybe listening to this in California or, someplace like that. So we're not talking tons of money, but I took that chunk of money and then I went ahead and put it into one of my first Texas properties. That's a multifamily that also had retail space attached to it. I chunked more money as a realtor and then went into additional multifamily and 2 more properties in Texas. So now I'm in 3 states, almost about 2,000 units. I think you guys have just a little bit more. But all of that because I put into my mind to start doing it, just start investing, start chunking and putting it away. So as a realtor, we all have money that comes in as our paychecks, right? And so what are you going to do to that? And you have to tell your money what to do. You have to tell your money where to go. It's not always going to go to super nice meals. Like for me, like when I have a closing, I buy myself like a pack of like Starburst or, something like really fun, like that's really kind of cool that I might not always buy like for myself. Or it could be my dog a cool toy. But I mean, like those are all small little wins, right? Like, but what I really want to kind of drive.
Let me ask you a question, Candace. So I love the fact that you realize that you need to chunk your money. So what made you or what inspired you to chunk your money and put it into a different type of investment? Because as we know, it's very different putting your money into another fix and flip or another residential property that you may rent. So what inspired you to put a chunk of money into a larger multifamily building as either a general partner or a limited partner?
Yeah, super good question. So I've had several rental properties, and I'll tell you that I've had phenomenal renters. And I probably could still have all those rental properties today. For me, because I wanted to grow faster, I then ended up selling those single family rentals and then put part of that chunk of money to a larger unit. So I'm sure that you've probably covered this on your podcast before, but if I was to raise my rents by $25 on a single unit, or even my duplexes that I had, how much would that be able to get me more per year? And then if I sold that, it's going to, as opposed to increasing 25 or $50 on 100 units. Okay. So that's how I always like to look at it now is, what would this do? I'm the manager of my single or my duplex. And then here we can get a property manager, and then it can grow exponentially. So I know that your listeners are super knowledgeable about this, but when you go into single family rentals or duplexes or fourplexes, you're comparing it on other comparables around it.
Yep.
So others that have sold around it, other single families, what has somebody else paid for these properties? And then I continue to put my own name on all the debts. Okay, so then the difference of the reason why I'm like, I want to scale larger into the larger units, whether it be multifamily storage or some other like type of growth, is because I know that I can scale exponentially, collaborating with other people, putting their money together and moving at a much faster rate.
Yes, absolutely.
Therefore, it's being based on how much the property is bringing in, more so than what the other units around it are selling for. So that to me was a huge, huge difference. Once you start seeing it's not compared to the other apartment unit or whatever next door, that it's truly based on the net operating income. So can I raise the rent? Can I bring in additional income from trash valet service? Can I be charging for the garage? Once you raise that just a little bit on a larger multifamily unit or a storage unit or whatever that could be, once you raise that just a little bit, because of the cap rate that it's selling for, it's just going to be able to sell for $1 million or $2 million more just within a few year time period. And that in and of itself is what sometimes people just totally miss. Like, I just want to have control over my own little units here. Okay, well, you're going to continue being the manager of all those units. You're continue going to be getting all those phone calls. Why can't my garage door work, or, water heater issues or any of that? So to answer your question, I think that's the reason why I transitioned. Maybe not everybody wants to transition like that, but for me, I just know that I could go further, faster at this age in life. I need to do that.
Yep. So I want to just kind of talk a little bit more about what you said. So you want to transition because you're going to grow your money, right? So as we all know, you're kind of looking at a 2x, give or take, multiple on your money. So for those, for the viewers that are out there listening or looking at the video, so if you put in 50, you're going to get a return of 100, right? So your original capital plus an additional 50.
Yes.
And if you have the luxury of being able to invest that $50,000 and you don't need that for cash flow, then chunking your money like you do and putting it in a longer term investment is exactly what you should do and how you actually can build wealth. And then what I love is about your journey is that you're also still an active realtor. So people may ask, well, why are you still an active realtor? Well, I can tell you, because I'm an active realtor as well. How are you going to live? Okay. So we all know that when we passively invest in these larger apartment buildings, that you may get some distribution on a quarterly basis or on a monthly basis, but they're not guaranteed, number one, right? So what are you going to do to live? How are you going to pay your mortgage and your living expenses and your utilities? You need cash flow. So your cash flow is the commissions that you make on a transaction, either on the buyer or the seller side. In our business with my husband and I, he still has a W-2. So we need that for the next, 3 to 5 years or so until we're at a point where we can bring our rental income that we have and have that cash flow piece still there, right? But we're still doing the long term. So there definitely needs to be a great mix between your cash flow and your long-term investment. So I love that. So what's the goal of Candace? Is it to be a realtor for the next 5 years, 10 years? Like, tell me what your thought is for, what financial freedom and what that ultimate goal looks like for you.
Well, there's a few different ways about I could answer this. I will say that my true goal is always to get that cash flow up to how much I'm making per month right now as being a realtor. So I want to be able to supplement that. I'll probably continue being a realtor for the next 5 to 7 years, residential. I'm going to continue growing my office here in Beaver Creek, Ohio. So I'm going to continue doing that, training to have outstanding agents here, continue to work. So I'm going to be doing more on the training part of that. I'm also going to be continuing to invest and be much more of a active role on the GP side because I am continuing to walk deals here in Dayton, Cincinnati, and Columbus, bring deals to the table, be able to move forward with that. I do also have the goal of having one day an all-female team where somebody finds it, we bring the resources in for it, and do all the management of it. So that to me is super exciting. I will say as a single person, maybe I think a little bit different because my mortgage payment is truly on my shoulders until I can get my dog to start working, which he has not. But so that is a little bit more of a stress point for me, and has been for, my entire adult life. But the thing is, like, I try not to ever think about that, because I know that God's going to provide, because he always has. And so that to me is, leave your cares to him and continue just moving forward, pushing doors open, and he's going to provide the way.
Yes. So let me chime in there. So one of the things that we're thinking of, right? So been in it 2 years, another 3 years of really, really, really hard work, right?
Uh-huh.
And so what are we going to do then when all of our investments from year 1, 2, and 3 have sold, right? We're sitting on a lot of money. So what does that mean? Well, we may need to change our perspective on what we're going to invest our money in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we're going to do something where we invest our money in a debt or equity fund that provides cash flow.
Yes.
Right? And maybe we diversify. We put some stuff in long term. We put something in a high risk, maybe a VC fund, right? Mm-hmm. So I think that you'll have a lot more options, or I'll have a lot more options, and you will too once these investments turn, right? Then I think we start to think about our strategy. Well, if I put this big chunk of money into this debt fund that gives me 8%, how does that pan out? Does it cover the money that I'm making now as a realtor? And can I kind of let go of that job and have the financial freedom or the additional time to do what you want, right?
Yes.
So that's the part that I love is I can't wait for my investments in year 1 to start turning.
Yes.
And then tell my husband to kind of, or not tell my husband, have my husband move away from his 9 to 5. Not tell him, I don't tell my husband anything. But, just again, kind of moving out of the W-2 and just working for somebody else and being totally financially free where you can do what you want. So that's kind of how we're thinking about it. And I'm guessing that you're the same way.
We're all looking for financial freedom, right? I mean, like, financial freedom is a little bit different in everyone's mind though too. So
so what, for us, we haven't quite put our goals down yet, and it is the 17th of January. 2024, but we're going to actually put them down hopefully this weekend. But, our goal is to bring in at least $50,000 in rental income on the cash flow side per month.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
So can we do that? It's very doable in our local market, right?
Yep.
And continue to do our long-term investments. But I think that's an important part of our journey in 2024. Right. Yeah. And I think every year it changes. Right. And us being flexible and, going with the punches. Right. Is the market up? Is it down? What is it doing? Should we switch asset classes? So let's just quickly talk about, have you thought about investing in other asset classes other than multifamily?
Oh yeah. I actually love storage. That's why I was so excited on the flex industrial storage space in Savannah. It's not like your typical just tiny little storage unit, but yes. So I really like storage, industrial. I have not jumped 100% on board with retail. I do know that there's a lot of great, triple nets that are out there. And so I think for me, once I hear about something or get excited about something, then I like to start researching it. And only when you start getting the questions answered in your own mind will you start getting excited about a certain asset class.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
so why do you like self-storage, Candace? You said you said that about 3 times. I love self-storage too.
I love it, and I probably would have a lot more of it if I could, and I'm sure I probably will in the future. But yeah, your initial question was, would I look at other asset classes? I definitely would, because as we know, an asset is bringing us cash flow. So as a realtor, on one side, where some realtors will say your house is your asset, which really is not an asset if it's not bringing that cash flow. It is appreciating. But unfortunately right now in the economy, and I diverse here for a second, your biggest asset in your house is the mortgage interest rate right now, not necessarily the house itself, unless you are being able to rent it out or something. Yeah. But yes, to answer your question, I would definitely look at other asset classes. I just don't want to get, like for me, diversification, just like it sounds like for you, is different types of asset classes will bring diversification. All of mine will probably be in real estate for the next several years. Not to say that it won't change after that period of time, but I just see such value in real estate that's where I have probably 95% of my money is going to be going.
Yep. Yeah, less. One of the reasons I love self-storage is the expense ratio to rental income is a lot less, right? There's a lot less bodies you need to run and operate a storage facility. So, 30%, right, expense ratio to income versus 50 to 60 or 40 to 60, depending on how you're looking at it from multifamily, right? And there could be one or less than one full-time employee operating a self-storage if you have the right systems. Whereas with multifamily, if you're operating a 200-person or if you're managing a 200-person multifamily apartment building, you may have 6 to 7 people, right? Your maintenance people, your leasing agents, so on and so forth, right? So a lot more, the people aspect is just a lot more to deal with, right? And there's just a lot more expenses when it comes to it. So that's one of the reasons that I love self-storage and excited about this deal. Ours is actually a self-storage conversion in South Carolina, right? So
where at?
I can't wait to see where that goes in the next few months. We're doing the conversion right now. So
South Carolina is great.
Yeah, super excited about that.
Yeah. I think the reason I like self-storage is because during my transition time, when I was first becoming a realtor and so much change of going around from where I was living, is I put all my stuff in self-storage. I'm thinking these people are just like racking in money just off of me. Like I need to buy one, and that was how many years ago, So if I would have bought one back then, when they were cash flowing 15%, then it'd be a lot different. But so many people have jumped on this self-storage bandwagon. And so it's kind of a little bit like sometimes you can get the cash flow around the same, but still like it's just all about the numbers. And so you just got to buy smart. You got to manage smart.
Absolutely.
So it's all how you do that, and the team that you go with can definitely make or break a deal.
Fantastic. So one more thing I wanted to mention before we kind of close this out is realtors out there, and I'll let Candace say the last word. So realtors out there, if you are paying taxes on your commission that is being brought in, and you have $25,000, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000 or more to invest in a multifamily investment opportunity, do that because it actually can reduce your taxable income and get you to paying zero taxes.
Absolutely.
So I love that. I hope more residential realtors can really just kind of try to wrap their head around that idea. And Candace and myself, we're both available to talk more about it with realtors since we know and understand the industry. So Candace, anything you want to say to the realtors out there?
Yeah, well, I'm sad that we're ending. We had such a good time today. I actually have a few things. Just to be able to kind of drive home the point of taxes, I did one rehab last year and didn't make very much money off of it because I like to overdo my properties. But anyways, I did one rehab last year, and then the rest of the income that I had throughout the entire year is all based on my realtor income. However, I did go into 3 investment properties last year. I will tell you that I paid $0. Maybe I shouldn't say this. It depends on how much. But I paid $0 in federal taxes last year. And I think my accountant was more astonished by that than myself. But because of all the depreciation that I could take from those properties and how I was able to work the rest of my business to be able to make that happen, I will 100% jump on the same train as what you just said. It is imperative that realtors look to see how much they are paying every year in taxes and how can you figure out a way to pay little to no taxes, and it's by investing into cash flowing assets like what you and I are both doing.
That's
so
great.
once they see that. So there's a couple things that I have written out. One is a chart about all the different asset classes. And then a second is how to invest with your IRA. And so there's a couple different pamphlets that I've written, and I'd be more than happy to give to your guests if they're interested in those. I would be more than happy to pass those along. But I will 100% say the same thing as you, that there is still money throughout every single month that I set aside for taxes, but now it's just super small.
Yes, I love that.
And because of what happened last year, I can 100% say that I now am one who has figured out how to 100% be able to figure out what path that you need to go down to avoid those taxes. So
absolutely. So
let's
get more women. Let's get more awareness out there. I too have the same goal of getting that GP team together, right? The General Partnership Women's Team. That would go viral. Number one, we'd probably be on the Today Show. I would love it. So let's make that a goal for sure. And work together. Great. And given that we're pretty close to each other, I'd love to work with you in the future. Yes. So Candace, if our viewers want to find out more about yourself or talk about anything that we talked about here on the show, how can they find you?
Yeah, so of course we all have Facebook and Instagram. My Instagram is just Candace Sarber, Candace. Last name is Sarber, Sarber. So that's my, I guess you call it the handle, I guess, on Instagram is at Candace Sarber. And then you can also email me at invest@newheightslegacy.com. So that is the company that I have for my real estate investing, invest@newheightslegacy.com. And I can send you those couple free little brochures as well that I've written to help people out. So yeah, I would love to be able to give some more value to any of your listeners. And I'd love to be able to collaborate with you on a deal in the near future.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Candace. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
The last 30 minutes. And hey, viewers, I want to remind you, March 2024, our book will be launching, Real Women in Real Estate. So Rewire Volume 2. We will both have chapters in the book. And I'll tell you, when you read this book and read all the chapters in the book from all the different phenomenal women, you will buy it and it will change your life forever.
Yeah.
So
March the 8th, it's coming out, International Women's Day.
yes, exactly. So thanks everybody for listening, and thank you, Candace. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time.
Thank you so much.
Reach
It's
out
been a
if you need
pleasure.
anything from me. I'm here to support as always.
Thank you so much again. Have a good day.
Jacqueline and Melvin, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to listen to this episode of Get Diversified. Please make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on future episodes. Finally, stop by our website and follow us on social media. Ciao for now. Make it a great day, and we'll see you next time. And remember, get diversified.